Everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing a video. Very interesting articles coming out the last week or so about the dreaded, hated term, herd immunity. So I didn't almost believe this when I first read it in a YouTube comment, but they're saying John Hopkins is saying herd immunity by April 2021. I'm just like, okay, well, I hope that happens. One of the things that is interesting is some of the people from John Hopkins have come out and said that this could be right. Who's Scott Gottlieb, former FDA chief? I almost said chief. Gottlieb won the U.S. will achieve herd immunity. Told CNBC on Monday he believes coronavirus cases in the U.S. will continue to decline in the spring and summer, allowing Americans to ease up on some pandemic precautions for the time being. However, in the okay, I'm gonna read actually the op-ed if I can get on it. I don't know if it'll be available. Let's see. Oh, I can't read it because of stupid paywalls. So this is interesting, but I'm going to look up this other one because this was even better, more interesting. Hopkins doctor. Here we go. So John Hopkins, which is been pretty much the centralized center of everything to do with this virus. You know, pretty much John Hopkins, including the Event 201. I'm going to read this article. This is a more interesting article. I found it on WBAL TV. Many Americans are looking forward to when the country reaches herd immunity and might be able to get back to normal. One doctor at Johns Hopkins said it might happen by April. And this is an interesting thing because it says two things. I'm going to read this sentence. Herd immunity is reached when enough of the population is vaccinated or has antibodies to the coronavirus isn't freely circulating. So some of these articles are talking about the seroprevalence that I mentioned before, which is interesting because, you know, since it started, you know, it's kind of, even that Atlantic article is like, I'm not saying herd immunity, you know, I'm not saying seroprevalence might be a factor, though. Oh my God, like over millions of years of viruses, like, there's been this thing called seroprevalence. I can't talk about it, though, because, like, I don't want to be seen as a grandma killer. So this is interesting. It does look like, based on the current trajectory, of course, this could change any time. I noticed that there was a little bit of a plateau of cases in the United States. It does look like, just to add that in, based on current trajectory, that come April or May, we're going to see some very low background levels of infection, said Dr. Marty Makary, the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School, of Public Health. COVID cases are down 77% nationwide in the last 6 weeks. Makary spoke on the Euripizzi Morgan show on WBAL News Radio 1090. He says we're well on our way to herd immunity. Now, this is a very controversial thing. He says, I'm sure Twitter wants him canceled. People that are, you know, wearing face masks in their own home, even if they own a house, you know, and they're in their car, are probably wanting to burn this guy at the stake. It's starting to kick in because the concept is more people have natural immunity from prior infection. You're adding some new vaccinated immunity. That's adding up, and there are fewer susceptible people out there getting infected. It's pretty simple, right? He thinks the number of people with natural immunity is severely underestimated due to a high number of asymptomatic infections. This kind of goes back to the Penn State article about 80% more, or 80 times more people were already infected thing from, I think it was May or June of last year. Initially, he thinks the number of people with natural, okay, I already read that. And due to a number, and current antibody tests that aren't completely accurate because they only looks for actual antibodies. They're also separate for antibodies, T cells that get activated. Oh, he does a T. Oh, now the T cell immunity thing's back, I guess. Okay. So it was out, it was back. It's like this fad, like every couple of years, you know, disco comes back and then disco goes away, or dork for like a disco. It's like T cell immunity. They're also separate from antibodies, T cells that get activated. And research from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, where they issue Nobel Prize, has demonstrated you are twice as likely to have activated T cells than you are to have antibodies. That's really interesting too. McCary said the decline in cases can't be solely attributed to the vaccines. Canceled. Cancel this guy now. Because that guy is such a denier, because he says vaccines aren't 100% what happened. Because before 2020, there was this thing called herd immunity or seroprevalence, but science changed. You have to have woke science where you have to get a vaccine to be immune to something. Only vaccines. Only our God Fauci and our scientists, and because they changed it because they changed all the definitions of everything. So a little Rufus McDubis, my character, coming back. McCary said the decline in cases can't be solely attributed to the vaccines. Those take a while to kick in, and he doesn't think behavior has suddenly changed. Well, no shit. He said areas of the world have already hit herd immunity or see a decline like this. But he warns COVID is not going to disappear. He said it will be with us for decades, but once levels in the community are low enough, we can safely resume some normalcy. Some normalcy. I like this sentence. This is a really good sentence, actually. This guy signed the Grand Barrington Declaration. I doubt it, but it's almost like he did. Johns Hopkins, that's pretty hardcore. I mean, they're the ones that kind of were pushing most of the stuff with this, you know, over the last year or so. So I don't know if he's going to lose tenure or get canceled. Maybe he won't. Maybe they're all secretly behind closed doors saying, "Oh, this is going to happen." Who knows? At some point, we've got to be practical and get back to life. Well, no fucking shit. Businesses are starving. We've got a hunger crisis. Kids are 10 times more likely to die of suicide than they are of COVID-19. Oh, he is pushing up a fucking storm with that one. I might have to look him up on Twitter. I guess he is a. Oh, I've seen this guy before. I think he was on Zubin Damania's show. Oh yeah, I've seen that guy. And then there's also a fact checking the Johns Hopkins op-ed. Oh my God, fact checking it. Okay. Well, there were actually I think there were other people that have said that were even in higher positions in May or June. So it doesn't seem like it's out of the ordinary. Who are these guys? Okay, epidemiologists. I mean, this is different than what's his name? What was that guy's name? David Katz. He was saying it would be gone by October of 2020, but you know, it's kind of unfortunate that he was wrong. He was such a, you know, but this guy actually seems more legit in a certain way, because he's from the center of the beast itself. Oh, let's see. So experts say they have more months. 70. Okay, fully vaccinated. Okay, so this is a pro-vaccine article. Natural immunity. Dr. McCary declined a request. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Changes to WHO's definition of herd immunity haven't been secret. What? So they changed the definition? That's ridiculous. They did change it. Okay. That's ridiculous. Okay. So they didn't secretly do it. I'm just reading this. All right, it was confusing as hell. So nobody has used that as nobody has used the problem with some of these people. So I was reading this article. Why did the WHO change the definition in secret or whatever? They said it was in secret. Herd immunity, because population immunity is a concept used for vaccination. Never in the history of public health has I've heard never in the history uttered before by someone else about
never in the history of respiratory viruses has asymptomatic spread be the primary carrier of the virus.
Never in the history of public health has herd immunity been used as a strategy for responding to an outbreak, let alone pandemic. It's scientifically and ethically problematic. Okay, you could argue maybe it's ethically problematic, but scientifically problematic, that doesn't make any sense. Because of that, the WHO strayed away from that, referring to the strategy of letting the virus spread, broadly defining herd immunity. They referenced the original definition while reiterating support for achieving it through vaccinations. And the fact that this definition is changing over time isn't necessarily a surprise. The webpage is specific to COVID-19. Of course it is. The WHO haven't have a definition for herd immunity on the website until this year, when included in the Q&A page. Okay. All right. They say they change it regularly. So it's very interesting. We have a number of people that have been saying, this is kind of, this Makary is kind of like the Sunetra Gupta of right now, because she was saying that in England, at least, they would have herd immunity by May or whatever last year. Unfortunately, she was proven wrong or you can say maybe she wasn't proven wrong, looking at cases or whatever, but as far as like the prevalence, supposedly, but other people, predicting gloom and doom are definitely wrong too. So CDC surveys, 20%. So best case, that's not herd immunity. All right, these articles are just fucking, just like, okay. Dr. Makary points to the natural decline in COVID cases in winter, saying it could be explained only by natural immunity. But Dr. Makdad and Omar say that's not true. They argue data shows that human behavior has been a very bigger factor in dropping cases. Mask wearing is trending up and mobility is trending down. America did what it takes to bring this pandemic down. The lockdowns and the behavior did. Oh, pro-lockdown person. Our experts all agree that cases and deaths should be dropping, especially with the weather warming up. And we may see looser restrictions as a result. And we've already seen that. But they say it does not reflect herd immunity and could reverse with new, more transmissible variants. Even if the trends bear out, the rationale is important. The reasoning tells us what happens next and the strategies we need to apply. All the successes we see now are so fragile, it's so dangerous to talk about herd immunity in April and May, simply because we have the new variants that make the vaccine less effective. I thought they said the vaccine was effective against the new variants. When might we see herd immunity? As for when we'll reach herd immunity, our experts don't agree. Dr. William Schaffner continues to argue that we should reach this threshold in mid to late summer. I would say, based on all the available evidence that I've read, I would say late spring, early summer. That's my opinion, but I'm not an epidemiologist or doctor, but just from what I've seen, looking at the numbers and stuff, that we can blow the all-clear whistle and take our masks off and be more relaxed in our interactions with each other, Dr. Schaffner said. I'm glad he's saying it. Like some of these people in my videos have said, we'll never get back to normal. And then Dr. Makdad doesn't expect us to reach herd immunity until next winter. Okay. I mean, okay, we're going to be doing this for another fucking year? Fuck you. The math doesn't add up. We don't have enough vaccines. Dr. Parsonet doesn't believe we'll ever truly reach herd immunity. Oh my God. Herd immunity is the point where its virus cannot transmit the population. Dr. Parsonet said, it seems very likely we'll never attain that point. I'm kind of in between her and the Makary guy. It seems very unlikely we'll ever attain that point. that we will never ever have enough people that are either vaccinated or natively immune to prevent any transmission to the population. But well, okay. But Dr. Parsonet, that basically that's what she's saying is that it's endemic. So that's what I read from that. Dr. Parsonet says the current decline in cases shouldn't give us reason to skip the vaccine. Just the opposite. We've been given this gift of time to try to get people vaccinated as many people immune as possibly can. I thought it wasn't making everything immune in the previous sentence. We use this time to get people vaccinated, and the time that we do have another variant that comes in, or it's just a temporary slowdown, is going to come up to rise again. So it's very confusing at this point. What the fuck is going on here? Johns Hopkins is a really prestigious, university, and pretty much was in the steering wheel on this whole virus. So the fact of the matter is, they're putting this out there. It's actually interesting that here's another New York Times. It's complicated. The path to herd immunity. Fully vaccinated. Okay, so okay. So it's kind of this kind of shows the same thing. This is from February 20th. And I don't think the McCary guy is quoting this article. I don't know where they get this from. Oh, some other people, University of New York School of Public Health. Like exactly what I said, May through July. This is kind of because, this is kind of the research that I've done, because I've done some research on this. So, but if the number of asymptomatic people is as high as they say, and there's some natural born immunity, and if the vaccine actually works, which I've heard different reports on that. And then there's also these conspiracy rumors that if you do get exposed to the virus, it'll cause a cytokine storm because you've had the vaccine and it'll kill you quicker than, whatever. I don't know. There's all these weird things going on with this. So my point in this is I will make a prediction, and some people may not like me doing predictions, but based on my research, May or June, I'm still going to say that, just because of what I've read. And that's just kind of what I think. Now, the effects of this are going to be felt for years, of course. People are fucking paranoid. And I mean, a certain amount of people are be paranoid. A certain amount of people say fuck it and just be more careless. It's going to be interesting. Because, these musicians and these artists are like, as soon as the pandemic's over, people are just going to fucking party, man. It's like, you don't know that. It's kind of going to be like a schizophrenic dual thing going on, bipolar thing going on with that. So it's just been, it's just been ridiculous. I mean, tuberculosis kills 1.4 million people a year. We don't close down the world economy because of that. And now there is a vaccine, and there's stuff like that. But I mean, 60,000 estimated people die from flu a year. And they still admit they count the deaths differently from the flu. And why do they change the way that they count deaths with this? And I've still not had a straight answer. I still have unanswered questions. I guess I'm a COVID-y edgelord who's killing grandma. That's fine. I mean, nobody I know has died or gotten sick so far, knock on wood. But it's like I meet up with people once or twice a week. It's only like 3 or 4 people, but am I spreading the virus asymptomatically if it's 1 in 4 people are symptomatic, or over half would be symptomatic? Wouldn't someone have gotten sick if I'm this evil spreader? It's just stupid. I had a family member that told me to really take advantage of Tinder, early, like in April or May. He's like, you should get on Tinder. He's essentially defying the lockdowns, telling it's hilarious but anyways, I mean, this video is all over the place, but my whole point is that this herd immunity thing, nobody agrees when it's going to happen. Who knows? Maybe they'll just lock down maybe their vaccine won't work, and they'll do their great reset, and we won't own anything. All this shit, all these conspiracies are true. I hope not, but I mean, I just tend to look at the bright side of things, and I think by early summer, I think we're going to be at a very different place. I just see it happening if trends continue. If a week from now we don't have a huge surge in cases, and I don't believe in the way that they're counting this and stuff, and I have a lot of problems with it, I should say. And it's not like I don't think the virus exists or it's ever been isolated. Yeah, well, look at Francois Ballou's work, or anybody that's actually done genome sequencing for the virus. It does exist, but there's been a moral panic. There's been it's like I bought this book with a pretty good book, ultra right wing organization for Canada, but it's like I'm making these allies on the far right now because I tend to disagree with the craziness and the OCD that people have had over this. And it doesn't mean that I mean, there was someone on Twitter that said 11 people they knew died. I'm just like, is that really true? I don't know. It's just like you wonder if these people are like paid bots or something. I mean, maybe there are people that have known that many people that have died. I mean, they said there 11 people. It's like I know of like one person that, and it probably depends on where you're at. If you're into like a huge red zone, quote unquote, maybe you do know that many people. I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore with this, but I think a way out of this, if we are going to get out of this, and some of these doctors and epidemiologists, they don't agree on this at all, as far as what's going on. It's like I tend to look for trends. The whole idea that people are asymptomatic, there hasn't been really, it's like with the schools thing, like people are going back and forth for months about, oh, schools, or don't open the schools, they're going to kill grandma, the kids. And then finally, there's been all these studies from Europe since like late spring of last year that there was no fucking like significant spread in schools. Finally, they're like, okay, fine, we'll open the schools. And see, people are still on Twitter saying that you're a murderous, selfish psychopath for wanting kids to go back to school. It's like, what are you going to do? I mean, more kids have died from the flu overall, more kids under 20 than COVID. And it's like, are you being selfish you're being selfish, like, there was this Twitter person, Naomi Wolf, that was ratioed by people by admitting she has dinner parties. And it's like, I don't know if she has dinner parties of like 20 people. I don't know, where do you draw the line? It's a lot of these liberal commentators on YouTube, like Kyle Kalinske, Crystal Ball, they'll still have people in the room, in the studio with them. It's like, oh my God, they should just be isolating for 5 years straight, right? We should, or wear masks when they have people in the studio. Oh, what do you think about this new book? What is what we think about your new book? It's like, you can't fucking win with these people, right? You can't fucking win. There's no winning. Either way, you're fucked. Either way, you're canceled or a piece of shit or whatever to most people. There's just no way out. The only way out is just to have your own, define what you want in your life and define what your morals and ethics are. I happen to be, still wanting to do things in my life and not fucking slow things down. If there was a significant number of people around me getting sick and dying, then maybe I would withdraw, from some of that. But that has not happened. I mean, it just, I get sick of these debates. I just, because they do confuse me, because I do get actually affected by it, because it's like when you have been, and if you've grown up with low self-esteem or anxiety, and you're told that you're selfish and you're an evil piece of shit from wanting to do things somewhat normally during this crisis, or doing anything normally, then it does affect you, and that's one of the things that's like gotten to me is like, well, but are these people hypocrites? Are these people following their own rules? Because if you apply that selfish thing to anybody, Like,
You're selfish for hanging out with people. Eh.
it's like, well, let's see, what did you type that on an iPhone? You're selfish by using your iPhone because it supports slavery in China. You're selfish by your fucking taxes going to drone strikes to bomb children in the Middle East. Did you stop paying taxes? Oh, well, you're selfish because you want to pay taxes and limit our society. You're selfish, you know? I mean, who's selfish? Who's not selfish? Who fucking denies this shit? So, I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. I hope these things are true. I hope McCary is right. I think he is partially right. I think he might have it off by a couple months, just from what I've read and what I've seen. But I think he's on the right track with that. Depending on what happens with everything, and I mean, this is the first guy. Actually, this is one of the first guys in like the center of the hurricane, so to speak. Oh, not the center of the hurricane, you know, I mean, like virus central to say this, because you know you had the Great Barrington Declaration with these people that were not, you know, part of the John Hopkins. I mean, Oxford's been part of the stuff too, because I think Neil Ferguson, no, was he? No, he wasn't part of that, I don't think. But there's been a lot of people that have come forward and said that made these proclamations. It'll be over by June. It'll be over by May. It'll be over by September. Oh. It's like, well, we'll have to see. You know, what do they want? You know, when do they want it to be over? What do they define it as? I mean, they changed the fucking definitions of PCR tests, you know, of testing positive back in December. Yeah, I believe it was December or January. And they changed the definition of pandemic. They changed the definition of herd immunity. They changed the definition of everything. It's whatever the fuck they want. And they're making fuckloads of money from the government funding these vaccines. And I will say, like I said in the previous video, that supposedly these documents say,
these documents, I have the documents.
You know, they say, a little bad Alex Jones impression there. The documents do say that the contracts for the public funding of the Action Jackson agents run out in June, I believe, June or July. So I tend to believe that they're saying that it'll be over in July, June. That's what I think. I believe that. I want to believe what I want to believe. I have to believe things that are positive. I'm sorry for people that just get sucked into like believing that things are going to get worse in the future. Because the only way I've broken through shit in my life is by fucking busting through and being positive. That's a fact. You know, manifesting, whatever, you know. You can call it manifesting, you can call it hard work, coincidentally leading to things, whatever. But just makes me mad, you know, the skepticism and cynicism that's going, you know, from all directions. Like I said in my previous video about the conspiracy culture narrative being pushed, and the virus will kill us all narrative being pushed, and you're a piece of shit. Well, let me tell you, before anybody shames anybody, they should shame the powers that be for not fucking giving the people support. You know, it's all right. You know, you can go on Twitter and say Naomi Wolf is a fucking crypto fascist, closet Trump supporting COVIDiot for having parties or having gatherings with people and admitting it, even though she's been a lifelong liberal and leftist to some extent. You can go ahead and say that. Or, and you spend your time doing that. Spend your time just attacking people, calling them super spreaders and pieces of shit. Or maybe you could like protest the politicians or petition the politicians to actually provide real support. What about the fucking stimulus checks that we're supposed to be getting? The $2,000 the first week of Biden's presidency. Oh yeah, we're gonna get these stimulus checks right in the mail, right? Or in the wired to our bank. You know, it's a bunch of bullshit. You know, who's the selfish ones, right? Really? You're gonna call me selfish? You know? Yeah, I am selfish. I'm not gonna fucking listen to this bullshit. People can't even fucking make up their mind about herd immunity. You know, how am I supposed to deal with these things? I'm gonna do the best I can. You know, I'm not gonna host a party of 200 people or something. Well, I mean, 200 people couldn't probably fit in this apartment. So, but you know, at the same time, I'm not gonna fucking avoid dates or avoid hanging out with people. It's like, fuck you. You know, who do you think you are? Until you stop being a fucking hypocrite and supporting the system that kills people every, you know, millions of people every year with whatever policy that the United States has, or the government, or you know, whoever, then don't talk shit about me being selfish. You know, I am selfish. I want to fucking live my life. I want to do things that I want to do. That's the way it goes. And I know that if we really aren't going towards the Great Reset, which has been rightly denounced by a lot of people, thankfully, and if there's going to be resistance against those kinds of ideas, then I don't think this is going to last as long as the conspiracy narrative people say it is. But who knows? You know, I could be wrong. I could have been wrong all along. This could be the public health officials could have all our best interests in heart. And, you know, you're selfish if you hang out with people. You should just isolate for 5 years or whatever that, you know, takes to get everybody vaccinated, and then vaccinated every 5 months when they have a new strain, and then you just, you know, wear a mask, you know, do all that shit. Well, whatever. So that's about all. Peace out.